Stuttering was in my life many years, something which made me suffer. Only a stutterer understands the negative emotion which causes to have speech impediments in any of its forms. Why can I speak fluently alone to myself? Who can help me? How can I eliminate this issue? I was convinced that the problem was not physical, but somewhere in my mind. It is a pleasure to have the opportunity to share my experience with you and enrich my life with the positive effect of summarizing my process, of improving in my ability to speak, and progressing in the battle of defeating my fears. I believe that part of the healing process is recognizing and claiming our victories, as it has been mentioned several times by Lee and all of us, such as writing the success story and or submitting a SAM talk. It has been very beneficial for me to dedicate time to reflect about my speech journey, my speech process, with all the challenges it has implied. And well, here you have the result of this reflection. It has been a long way of understanding and working in myself, trying to know myself, and in parallel of looking for a solution, looking for answers and support. Stuttering was in my life many years, something which made me suffer, which I did not understand and could not control. It affected my days negatively for such a long time, injecting bad feelings in my days and limiting my potential of being better in many aspects. Only a stutterer understands the negative emotions which causes to have speech impediments in any of its forms. It is a powerful monster which can destroy the balance, the harmony, the happiness, causing catastrophic effects in the self-esteem. Where did this stutter come from? Why can I speak fluently alone to myself? Why am I unable to control my speech at some moments, under some circumstances? Is there a cure to this problem? Who can help me? How can I eliminate this issue? Well, these are some of the permanent questions that I had for many years with no satisfactory answer. Trying to recall my first stuttering incident, I could not find any serious traumatic episode in my childhood. I was a happy child and teenager with good grades and a normal life. I was fluent with my friends, with my family in general, when reading aloud to others, when answering questions to my teachers, except in public speaking or presenting to groups. So I can say that stuttering was a bad habit which was developed later in my life. My first memories about this problem relate to public speaking in the seminar and presentations to groups and classmates in the university. I remember struggling with fluency and stumbling with words, repeating syllables again and again, unable to continue with my explanations and feeling embarrassed, angry with myself, and frustrated. So, what is the cause of my stuttering? I was convinced that the problem was not physical, but somewhere in my mind. I was aware about my excessive concern on the opinion of the others and its devastating consequences in my personality. So, when I read the book of Lee Lovett, I agreed that the origin of this problem was the perfectionism and this excessive concern on what the others could think about me. However, I did not have the tools to overcome it, neither the help of an appropriate person, professional, an experienced guy to support me and show me the way to overcome this. Some of my superiors in the seminar even laughed at me or criticized me in my back. Terrible that. I grew up and passed my years with the stigma of stutterer. Fortunately, I was a good student and an excellent soccer, basketball, and volleyball player, and I was well respected by my classmates and companions. The main tormentor of myself was my own consciousness of being a stutterer and being perceived as a stutterer without the capacity of speaking well. Surprisingly, the stuttering level was inconsistent. Sometimes it was severe, sometimes moderate, or even imperceptible. I discovered that my emotional status was linked to these different levels of severity. The more motivated and happier I was, the less stutterer I appeared. I learned to limit my participation as much as possible and speak directly to the point, using as less words as possible in my public interventions, being simple, being direct, and straight to the point. This helped a lot, but did not cure my problem. I needed something else. In 2021, living very stressful circumstances in my job, I noticed that my speech was getting worse and worse in presentations and meetings, that I was losing confidence in myself and digging a hole of doubt and lack of faith in my speech recovery. With no reason, I started to anticipate my stammering, and evidently, as we all know, the bad experience triggered another one, and then another one, and so on. The usual snowball effect, which creates and reinforces the habit of the stutterer, was dominating my speech. I was worried, thinking what I could do to overcome this. I searched into Amazon and found several books about stuttering. I ordered 3 of them. First, A Stutterer's Story by Frederick Murray. Second, Self-Therapy for Stutterers by Malcolm Fraser. This one never came due to delivery issues by Amazon. And the third one was Stuttering and Anxiety Self-Cures, third edition by Lee Lovett. At the same time, I watched a couple of videos of Lee Lovett. In one of them, he included his email address, so I decided to write him a mail asking for help. He was very accessible and answered to me on the same day, explaining a specific path to defeat stuttering. He recommended several steps to start with the path to fluency. Join SAC, which is now WSSA. To read a dozen of the 150, now there are more success stories, included in SAA. 3, to read aloud the latest edition of his book. At that time was the third one, in 2021. 4, to watch his 21 video lectures on his book, included in WSSA. 5, to subscribe to his YouTube channel. And 6, to contact him again. I noticed immediately that he knew how to help and that it would imply to invest myself into this project. So I started with enthusiasm my recovery path, embracing the 4 goals expressed by Lee in his mail. Stop stuttering, learn to love to speak in all venues, adopt a lifelong regimen of mind training to elevate one's life, and join a support system of ex-stutterers that help me and others maintain fluency and elevate lives. I was astonished by the clarity of Lee Lovett regarding the targets and methodology to defeat Satan stuttering, as he called it. He showed his experience not only in overcoming stuttering, but also on the way of helping others to overcome it as well. The following are the most important learnings in my encounter with Lee Lovett and his wonderful program. Improving in the ability of speaking is a game. So, enjoying the process as a game is essential. Being passionate about the message eliminates any chance of stuttering. Speaking spontaneously without planning words is a way to eliminate any possibility of stuttering. Mind training. Being positive is the strongest weapon to defeat any speech impediment. To fill your mind with positiveness, with good emotions, with good ideas, to feed our mind with positive affirmations, have a strong influence in the personal reality and in our lives. To be attentive with our thoughts, being a speech cop, to identify any negative thought and drown it with opposite positive affirmations. Building a new fluency habit becomes with avoiding stuttering incidents and enriching the fluency memories. And finally, believing in the methodology, but mostly believing in myself, is the foundation of everything. I remember a coaching session with Lee when he asked me for several times, "Do you believe, Jorge? Do you believe?" "I believe, Lee, I believe," was my answer. The most useful crutches for me, C4, to insert sounds or alternate words. C6, to rephrase the thought. C8, modulation. C9, pronunciation. And C11, speak like a king. My favorite positive affirmations: when I speak, calm floods my body. I speak fluently and clearly. I speak fluently and clearly. The longer I speak, the more fluent I become. Under pressure, I will speak slowly, with extreme pronunciation and making stops. I have followed the method of Lee Lovett with fantastic results. I have been working on building fluency memories, replacing the non-fluent ones, and generating a new speaking habit. My current job as a chief financial officer of an industrial company implies a lot of speaking, presenting to groups, colleagues, corporate members, subordinates, giving public speeches, and participate in a lot of meetings. So I have opportunities of improving my speech every single day, and I am focused on doing that with enthusiasm. I see that loving to speak takes time and is the result of enjoyable and successful fluency experiences, extending consistently the comfort fluent zones. I will continue my speech journey to reach the second base, to love to speak in all venues, and at the end, to enrich my style of living, or as mentioned by Lee, elevating the quality of my life with my training, enabling me to say that the stuttering was a blessing in my life. A good benefit of joining WSSA was to know that I was not alone, that there were thousands of people all over the world at all ages and professions suffering and dealing with this problem. That there were many severity levels in stammering, and that despite of this, it is possible to overcome this problem when there is the willingness and a clear path to follow, a coach, a book, specific tools, and a practical manual that guarantees success. A big thank to Lee Lovett and my admiration to him for his great contribution to the world and his passion to help people. I have expressed my recognition to him several times in written and in coaching sessions. I hope and pray that he remains in good health conditions for many years to continue working on his project of eradicating stuttering from the planet. I know that WSSA was smartly founded to do this, but listening to Lee Lovett in some meetings, witnessing his passion, conviction, and energy is inspirational. I can perceive his charisma and the motivation that he injects in the audience when he speaks. And also, I put a general question to all of you: in which stage of the journey of loving to speak you are, and what are you doing to defeating your fears?